Probably going to be another boring decision. This card's going to be fucking boring. If you want to do something else with your Saturday, you could skip this card. I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be fucking boring. Anyone who's new to the sport and just watch 300, fucking don't tune into this shit. This shit's going to ruin MMA for you. This is going to be the most boring card you've ever seen. So here we are. UFC 300 is over. It's been over for like a week. And we're back to a boring fight night card. Hope you enjoy. Machete Heisa versus Gabriel Benitez. Benitez is 35. Heisa is 24. A little bit of an age discrepancy there, nearly. Well, that's 11 years. So, big age discrepancy there. The fighter from China, Machete. Fuck knows. Machete. I ain't Chinese. I don't know how you say it. He's taller. He's slightly taller. He's slightly longer. I think he plays to his advantages. I think it's probably going to be a decision, but I could see a TKO. I can see a TKO. Yeah. TKO for Machete Heisa. I just think he's got the attributes. Probably plays to his strengths in that regard. The Chinese have got decent wrestling. Don't know where it's coming from, but these Chinese have got some competitive wrestling. I wouldn't say the best wrestling, but they've got some competitive wrestling. And I just don't think Benitez is even going to bother with the takedown in the first place, to be honest with you. So I don't think it would matter. Heads or tails, it wouldn't matter. Makes no heads or tails, it wouldn't matter. Yeah, I'm going to go with Machete Heisa by probably decision. But if we're playing the odds, I'd say a TKO. Next up, Ivana Petrovic versus I can't do Asian names, bro. Why do I suck at this? Nat Liang. More Chinese people. Lots of Chinese fighters these days. Ivana Petrovic. Okay. Ivana Petrovic versus Na Liang. Got that one. Okay, sweet. Na Liang has lost her last 3 fights. She's rather than 3 fights scared. She either snaps it or she doesn't. I don't think she snaps it here. I'm going to go with Petrovic. I'm going to go with Petrovic by decision. It's a women's fight, and it's probably going to go to decision because women's fights go to decisions. So, boring decision, but I'm going Petrovic by decision. James Luntop versus Chris Padilla. Tough one. James Luntop is slightly taller, but has slightly shorter arms, so I think that kind of balances it out a little bit in the height and reach variety. They've both got decent records. Padilla's 13-6. James Luntop is 14-2. I'm gonna go with James Luntop from Peru. I think he's slightly younger. He's slightly taller. Sure, his arms are a little bit shorter. They're 1.5 inches shorter. That's fine. I think he gets the job done. I think probably knocks him out. Probably knocks him out fairly handily. Who the fuck is Chris Padilla? Who the fuck's Chris Padilla be? You haven't he's not been making waves on the regional scene. You've not been like, oh, Chris Padilla's coming to the UFC. Everyone watch out, you know? I don't know. Yeah. I'm going to go with James Luntop by TKO. Caitlin Souza versus Marinik Mann. Tough one. Oh, I'm picking the Brazilian. That's not a tough one at all. Picking the Brazilian. I'm picking Souza over Mann easily. Far better record, probably a far better quality of opponent fighting in Brazil, on the regional scene in Brazil. Americans will just wrestle. It's boring on their regional scene. That's why there's so many shitty Americans in the UFC, and all of the people from outside of the US are like far better and more skilled because they had to actually work hard to get there, and it wasn't just I wrestled in high school, watch me lay on top of somebody. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with Brazil. It's probably going to be a decision. I'm not going to lie. It's a woman's fight. It's usually a decision. So yeah, we're going to go with Caitlin Souza by decision over Marek Mann and her fucking bullshitness. Next up, Dontel Mays versus Machado. Hmm. Hmm. That's a tough one. It's a tough. It's a difficult matchup to predict. Actually, the real question is: does Machado beat Andrei Arlovski? That's the question. Does Machado beat Andrei Arlovski? Hmm. I'm gonna say he does. Andrei Arlovski's like the baseline test for whether you can make it in their division, and I think Dontel Mays did well. He passed with flying colours. He beat him. He finished Andrei Arlovski. So he's probably like the best of the bottom of them. And do I think Machado could beat the best of the bottom? Yeah, probably. But Dontel Mays is bigger and he is longer. He's got that physicality over him. He's probably a lot bigger too, as far as the size discrepancy can go. I'm gonna go with Machado. I think he just beats him to the punches. I think he just gets inside and he just works. I think he's got great timing on his counters too. I think you could see some good some overhands over the top and just staying low, kind of try and avoid any sort of uppercuts or knees from Dontel Mays. But I think Machado could get it done. I think so. Yeah. I do think it goes to decision though. I don't think either of them really has that much finishing potential, if I'm honest. I don't think Dontel Mays is going to get wrestle fucked all that much. I don't think he's going to get grappled that much. I think he's going to be able to defend it off for long enough. So, yeah, I'm it's a tough one. I'm going to pick Machado. I'm picking Machado. Yeah, I'm picking Machado. Next fight, Austin Hubbard versus Michael Figlak. Hmm. I'm going to go with Austin Hubbard. Um, he's got a slight reach advantage. It's not to write home about at all. It's like an inch reach advantage. Um, I think he's the underdog for this one. I just think no, fuck it. No, I'm wrong. Why would I pick Austin Hubbard? I'm picking Michael Figlak because it's harder to get into the UFC from fucking Poland than it is to get into the UFC from fucking America. So I think Michael Figlak's done a lot more work to get there than Austin Hubbard, and I think it's going to show because US fighters absolutely suck balls, and everyone knows it. All they can do is crotch sniff. So yeah, we're going Figlak. This is such a terrible fucking boring card, by the way. Okay, Rani Ayer versus Victor Henry. Probably going to go with Victor Henry. I'm going to go with Victor Henry. It's probably going to be another boring decision. This card's going to be fucking boring. If you want to do something else with your Saturday, you could skip this card. I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be fucking boring. Anyone who's new to the sport and just watch 300, fucking don't tune into this shit. This shit's going to ruin MMA for you. This is going to be the most boring card you've ever seen. It's not going to be a banger. It's going to be a fizzle. It's going to be a slow fizzle. It's not even going to be it's not even going to burn bright. It's going to be a dull fizzle. But yeah, I'm going to go with Victor Henry. Um, just think, I just think there's more to his game. Uh, Victor Henry can stay safe. Yeah, Victor Henry can stay safe for longer. He's got decent defense. I think. Yaya has a lot of difficulty landing effectively on Victor Henry. I think he lands, but I don't think he lands anything to gain the respect of Henry. I think he just kind of bullies him around the cage for a full 15 minutes. Boringly though, boringly so. Tim Means versus Uros Medic. Now, I want to go with Medic. Yeah, I'm going with Medic. Um, Again, just because it's harder to get into the UFC if you're from outside the US. If you're from the US, it's fucking easy. Plus, if you're from the US and you're 40, you know? So, I know heavyweights have like, uh, the heavyweights have like a later prime, I suppose. They can go for longer, so that extends their prime. But when we're looking at heavyweights, I don't think that's actually fucking true. Like the majority of heavyweights, unless you're on the upper echelon, your longevity isn't past 40. Realistically, only the top of the top really go on past 40. The rest don't. I think it's a myth. It's a myth that the heavyweights have that longevity or can go a bit longer because they can't. They don't have anything to begin with. They're just big dudes who can slug it. They can just throw shots. None of them fucking wrestle. None of them have cardio. You know, they're just big dudes. Only the ones at the top like work on this shit, and sometimes they neglect things like cardio and like wrestling to make up for other things. You don't come across someone in heavyweight that's ridiculously well rounded. Not so much anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick Medic. I think he dismantles Tim Means easily. He's 9 years as junior. He's fucking Medic's 40. Means is 40 even. Means is 40. Okay, and I just don't think he is bigger. He is longer, and I just don't think he's gonna have it. I think Medic just rips him apart. I think it's a dismantling. I think Tim Means should look on retirement because you don't start getting better at 40 no matter what weight division you're in. Jonathan Pierce versus David Onama. I'm gonna go with David Onama. He's the slight underdog. But I like the matchup for him. I just think he's a little bit faster, maybe a little bit slicker, a little bit crazier, a little bit more unorthodox, I suppose I should say, but still clean. Um, yeah, and I think he gets it done. I don't think it's going to be uh, particularly clean, but I think he gets a knockout. I think it's one of the few knockouts we see. Um, yeah, I could see a round two knockout for David Onama. Um, but I could see a decision going to Pierce. I think Pierce probably outclasses Onama because of that awkward style. He just finds it hard to land anything super effective. Um, Whereas Onama's got that blitz and power, and I think Onama by TKO. I'm gonna go Onama by TKO. I believe in it. I think it can happen. I could see it. Um, yeah, Onama's shorter, but he is longer. Like his arms are fucking long, and I think that even though he is shorter, that kind of gives him the reach advantage. And I can see him clipping Pierce quite a lot. And I don't think Pierce has an answer for it. And I think Pierce commits to make something happen to win a round back, like he'll do. I think he'll win round one. It'll be close, and then he'll do something to steal the round. And I think when he goes to try and make a statement in round two, I think that's when Onama puts the lights out. So yeah, I'm gonna go Onama by TKO. Jonathan Diniz versus Austin Lane. Hmm. I'm gonna go with Austin Lane. Austin Lane's 36. I know I've literally just been chatting shit about old people not shouldn't be fighting, but listen to this, okay? He's slightly taller, slightly longer, right? He's 12-4. He's had a no contest, and he's been finished by Justin Taffer in the UFC, right? So he's been on the big stage already. I say the big stage. It's a fucking Apex fight. It's like UFC Vegas 91 or some shit like that. So it's an Apex fight. But he's been here longer and he's had a taste of that experience. And I think a loss at UFC level means more for you early on, or not even early on. A loss at UFC, in the UFC in the big time is more of a learning experience than a loss outside of it. And uh, sometimes when you see a fighter who's undefeated, that's because they've been good enough not to have to learn a lot of lessons. They've been able to rely on skill or physicality or whatever it is to not learn certain lessons. And I think when you come across someone like Austin Lane, who has had a couple of losses, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve that he can use. He can use something that was used against him previously. I want to go with Austin Lane as a fucking clutch pick. He's an underdog. Probably going to be, he's a slight underdog right now. He'll probably be a bigger underdog closer to the time, I would assume. I imagine they're going to gas quick as well, like really fucking quick. Lots of tired people on this card. There's going to be a lot of tired fat fucks on this card. Absolutely exhausted. I just don't have a lot of faith in a 6-0. Like, you see it so fucking much. Hype train is getting derailed by people who you're like, oh, how could he derail the hype train? It just happens. MMA maths doesn't make sense. I'm going with Austin Lane. I think he just gets it done. I think he's been here. He's learned some lessons from his defeats, and he can use that. He can come back stronger. So yeah, Austin Lane by a boring decision though. Got to express it's probably going to be a boring decision. Karina Silva, Karina, I don't fucking know, Silva versus Arian Lipsik. Lipsky, not Lipsick, Lipsky. So Silva v Lipsky, because that's way easier to say. Probably gonna go with Silva because she has Killer as a nickname, and honestly, can't go wrong with that. Also, 17-4 versus 17-8 on the same Brazilian regional circuit is enough of a clue to me to say that. Although I don't trust the regional circuits a lot of the time, Silva's probably slightly better, or yeah, she's probably slightly better. So yeah. But then more fights for Lipsky. That does mean more fights for Lipsky, which means more experience. But no, I think Silva runs through Lipsky. I say runs through. I think Silva boring decisions Lipsky. And it's boring, and we get a decision. Yeah, Silva by decision. This is going to be such a boring card. Now, initially, when I seen Ryan Spann versus Bogdan Gustov, I thought to myself, oh shit, Ryan Spann's fighting Anthony Smith again? That's probably going to go the same way as last time. And then I realised that Bogdan is not Anthony Smith, and that he is in fact a completely different human being. They just look similar. Maybe someone should do the 24andMe and find out whether they're related or something. Do the 53andMe. I don't even remember what Izzy said. Do you remember what Izzy said? Do the 24andMe. I know they look the same. I know when you're watching the fight, you're going to be like, that's a slightly shorter Anthony Smith. But no, that's a different human being. And because he's slightly shorter and slightly smaller than Anthony Smith, we're going to pick Ryan Spann, okay? It's like Ryan Spann's fighting a nerfed version of Anthony Smith, and I think he wins that fight. So we're going to go with Ryan Spann. We're going to go with Ryan Spann, probably by boring decision. I don't see a knockout happening. Do you see a knockout happening on this card? No, not at all. I don't see any knockouts happening. I know I predicted like 2 knockouts. They're not going to happen. There's going to be boring decisions all night long. They have hooked in a bunch of casuals with UFC 300, and they're going to be tuning in this week, and they're going to be like, what the fuck am I watching? It's a bullshit card. But yeah, I'm going with Span. Span is the favourite, but I think that's because a lot of people have done what I did initially and assumed that Bogdan was actually Anthony Smith. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. He's not Anthony Smith. Crazy, I know, crazy. Now on to, oh my god, it's the main event. You would never have guessed by the names in it. Mateus Nicolau versus Alex Perez. Who? Anyway, Alex Perez is on a 3-fight losing streak, and he's headlining. And Mateus Nicolau is on a 1-fight loss. Both bouncing back or attempting to bounce back. But here's the thing: Alex Perez has failed to bounce back twice already. You know, three losses, 3 big old stinky losses, 2 by submission and 1 by decision. You know, and Mateus Nicolau's probably got a bit more steam. Yeah, he got knocked out. That's fine. Everyone gets knocked out occasionally. He's slightly younger. The reach and height is fairly even. There's nothing to write home about there. Really, what we're coming down to is momentum. And momentum means a lot in MMA. And if you're just knocking out guys one after another, you can ride that momentum. If you're just getting win after win, you kind of feel unstoppable. But when you lose 3, that's kind of a knock to the confidence, right? You've got to kind of be thinking to yourself, shit, I don't want to end up on the ground again, or the second it hits the ground, you're thinking to yourself, well, shit, I'm getting submitted, you know? So I'm going with Mateus Nicolau. I don't think there's going to be much of a contest there, to be honest with you. I think Mateus Nicolau has an easy bounce back. I think the UFC has put him on this card because they're trying to build him up, but they don't realise that he's got no star power. And I don't think he's going anywhere fame wise. He's not going to blow up. He's not like a Conor McGregor or anything like that. No one's going to watch this card and go, wow, by fucking Mateus Nicolau versus Alex Perez. So it is what it is. I'm picking Nicolau. Maybe a TKO. Maybe a submission. Probably a submission over the TKO. It does seem to be a weakness in Perez's game, but honestly, it's going to be another decision. A boring decision. Yeah. I hope you're not expecting an absolute banger like UFC 300. It's not going to be that. We're back to boring fight night cards. Maybe Steve Erceg gets the upset victory over Pantoja at UFC 301, and I get to scream from the rooftops. Maybe he doesn't. I don't even know if I'm picking him yet. Who knows anymore? MMA maths doesn't add up. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a like. Leave a comment down below on what you think. Let me know what your picks are too. Don't forget to subscribe. I've got more banger videos coming your way. I've got more banger predictions. I predicted almost every single fight right on UFC 300. I got 1 wrong. So, take a chance on me. Copyright struck. Peace and love. I'll see you around.